Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Bed. So, we did Rooftop Trouble up to, I believe it was 10. And that's where we were. And these aren't going to take super long. The problem here is even though I've already solved these puzzles, it doesn't really change how you play the game in nightmare mode. So I still kind of totally suck as far as trying to play it in nightmare mode. There's an apple over there I can grab, and I guess I could have walked up here and grabbed it too. We need to get him to, I think, go this way. Or maybe we don't. Notice how the tie goes through here to show you that it's connected. That's a smart move. It doesn't really mean anything though, or do anything. So we send him back. That's kind of all we needed to do. So he'll hit these two apples. He'll bounce back, and he'll do this. There are definitely some modes missing from a game like this. A speedrun mode, a least number of steps mode, a what else could you do? You could do a speedrun, you could do a survival no fail mode. I doubt very many people would be interested in trying that. So the clock, if he gets close to it, will wake him up. I guess we could show that off, but we'd have to reset it. And close is a pretty ambiguous descriptor, and that's about as much as you can do. I'd say if you get within two blocks, 2 squares, he will wake up. If he wakes up, then you have to retry. It's very, very odd that the retry doesn't just automatically happen. Like, it's odd that it just gives you a game over screen for really no reason. It would be asking quite a lot, honestly, to have this game change the dreams and the dream imagery over and over again for each level. That would be a waste of animation, quite frankly. But I have certainly seen see those fast moves you have to do. I have seen dream-like games, the Alice series, American McGee's Alice and Alice Madness Returns. I actually haven't played the original game. It's not available on Steam. I don't think Madness Returns isn't available on Steam either. And so you can only go up these walls, but you can jump off a ledge if you are going to land somewhere. So what I'm supposed to do here is get the clocks to disappear. But yep. He just wakes up, you get the retry sequence. I don't see why the game wouldn't just fade to a white or fade to black and reset everything by default. So the trick here is just to send these guys off the edge and send this guy in an infinite loop for a while until we can figure out how to get him to go back that way which you can't put something in front of the door, which seems like an amazingly interesting concept that should have been played on more, and instead it's just not allowed. Like, that's pretty lame. I would have liked to seen you be able to put this here, and then it would bounce them and they would walk back the other way. There are also, like, you would think this eyeball and this octopus leg and these things would move towards more of a story, but really it isn't. It's just random things. There are walking simulators out there. There's a lot of horror games out there that go for a slightly dreamlike atmosphere. I would say that if you're doing a horror game, in comparison, you're probably trying to put it in some level of realism instead of straight out just insanity. But also, I would say this straight out insanity also just kind of falls apart with the criticism that it's just missing a theme. Like, there's really no theme going on here. And see, I just kind of have to stay here because if I pick this up, and see, narcolepsy as a concept in video games is very interesting, but that's not really what Bob is showing us. This would make a lot more sense if he was actually so I think he's actually going to always walk in circles where he is. So I think we're kind of safe to run up here on the edge. The idea of shifting perspectives, I've seen that in games, certainly. It's a slightly interesting idea if it's used, but it's kind of not. Like, I mean, what do you really say about a game like this? Just kind of disappoints me on almost every twist and turn. The movement based gameplay mechanic does not play well whatsoever with the puzzle ideology and aesthetic here. Compare this to something like Portal 1 or Portal 2. That's quite a big difference in the experience. And I guess the reason that there are bars on these animations now is because the game decided to reset back to 640 by 480. And see, this really feels like I just finished all of the main game, and now we're moving to what could have been DLC. So where are we on? Let's come back, because we've definitely done that level. So Harbor Hazards 1. Let's see what this looks like. It is, and we can skip these, thank goodness. So this is what we showed off at the beginning of the last episode, the first episode. So the first 15 levels are done. That was it. No boss fight, no super complicated puzzle, just kinda nothing. You've learned the very basics, and that is just the extremely basics of picking up apples and having the let's see, and using the apples to redirect Bob. And that's kind of it. And I'm moving him quite a bit here for no reason. This does do something slightly different in the fact that there's a column here for not a good reason when it should be like a half broken column. And or it could have been something like this. Yeah, action puzzle games. There's quite a few of them out there. I would call them almost all Portal clones at this point. But this doesn't really work with that. It feels like I should be able to cheat the game and just do this, and then like slowly with the right stick scroll forward or scroll backwards each step. Like I should be able to plan and think out every freaking step that happens. So now we have a new concept introduced. 16, 17 levels in. We use the apple to stop him from going too far and walking off the edge. We could, I suppose, show that. I'm moving really fast. I guess it didn't matter in this case because that was as far as the wind went on this. To be fair, if this was a thesis project made by like a video game programmer, like their 4-year thesis project or where they had to turn this in, I would still give it a B at least if I was the professor. Like, it's technically functional. I don't think I've ever seen this game crash. There's really no reason why it should crash. The visuals, like, easily, particularly in student projects, could be overlooked completely because that might not be what the student is even expected to be capable of. Like, most video game programmers aren't also expected to be able to animate things. So wireframe animations, buying 3D models, buying and using music assets, that's not really where it comes down to as far as the grading. The grading would be, does it run, and how how fun how well the game is programmed. Like, there's a really great argument to be made even on the idea of the game doesn't even have to be fun, because if you're a video game programmer, guess what you aren't? You're not a video game director, not a video game writer. So as a student project, yeah, this might even get an A. Like, just because, you know, if all it is about programming. But as a video game critic, which is what I am, I'm not a professor and I'm not grading a student project here. I'm looking at a project that is available on Steam. I've got some major problems with this. So very quickly, they introduced the fish as a new thing. Although, to be fair, even though it is added pretty quickly here, it's also it's too quickly, frankly. And see, walking over that chess piece and having it fly away doesn't mean anything. I can walk on these steps, but if he walks on these steps, he will immediately get run over by a giant train. Let's see, we can send him up against the wall and he'll just bounce back because he'll walk through the stairs. These logical ideas are cool, but they don't get played out enough. There really should have been 30 to 90 puzzles before we even got too crazy. So he gets hit by this train, run over, that's a wheel train, and then oddly I can still move around. So here's where, you know, programming should not be allowed to do this. Like I totally should not have been able and capable of walking around then while I was also selecting the menu. And I believe that was 4. Let's hop in here and see. If not, we'll just solve it really fast again. Yep. Yeah, there might been an achievement for that, but there clearly will be achievements for beating it on nightmare mode, so even doing these little side actions doesn't mean anything or do anything. Yeah. I think, yeah, somewhere around 15 let's just speed this up and have him fall and reset. 15 puzzles where you're just moving apples around would have been my first step. You have so many things here that look different but don't really do anything. Let's see, I can't pick up the fish when he's under it. And I just hit the button to skip to the next puzzle. And see, now they're repeating the same phrase, the apple is a hat. Now if I let these lips blow him, he will come over here and he'll be walking in this direction, which might be what we want. Oh, I can't put an apple on that though, so we have to go twice. And see, no, that doesn't work either. We can walk over here and see if there's anything more. There is a possibility that I should have him walk this way. And we've got a couple apples, so we can use that to turn him around. And you really need an ability to speed yourself up, but there is nothing. Like no B button, no Y button. You can speed him up, but that's it. Oh yeah, I wanted to get back to the idea of narcolepsy. Like, narcolepsy means you fall asleep / pass out / go to a lower than normal level of mental alertness. It doesn't mean you sleepwalk. If anything, I would say there's probably very little people, very few people, if any, that have narcolepsy and also sleepwalk. And you fall asleep or instantaneously. They're whale road tracks. So I guess the question will come down to, can these lips blow him over this way across the gap? Yes, they can. And then I'd have to put this here. And you can't put anything on the tracks. So that seems like that's a idea. So if I put that there, it'll get blown over a second time and then turn. And that's the entire solution. And that map has basically nothing extra in it. For a puzzle game, you kind of need at this point to have some more things in it. Like, had there been some extra apples, had there been some other pathways, had there been multiple solutions, anything. A game like this feels like you should probably throw a generic gameplay mechanic in it. Something along the lines of, let's see, now I've got to get him to go across this track without dying. And one assumes that his only option is to go this way. Here's a great example, as we're, this time it's a knife for no reason, by the way. Now I can walk over here just fine. So it's a great example of just a level that would be a nightmare, literally, to play a nightmare. Just extra walking around. I wouldn't be surprised if they put a key here or a key over there, or a key in some very difficult to reach place. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time you're at this level you're collecting a considerable number of keys. You could take the collectible idea to a different realm, though. You could certainly have one secret thing that is hidden behind, like a staircase, that the player character, the dog character you're playing as, could collect. You could have a second collectible that has to be picked up by Bob. There really needs to be kind of a fight mechanic or something. Like, obviously this wouldn't be a first-person shooter or anything like that, but maybe if the dog could bite, growl, attack some of those time pieces, the clocks, which, by the way, ever since we got into that second chapter, the clocks disappeared. That should have been ramped up. You could have, after the first chapter, had clocks running around all of the first chapter a second time, ramped that up, had a giant clock boss fight. That would have been pretty standard in a video game. It would have been pretty cool if you had to set up Bob walking around in circles on like a giant path around an arena, and you're in the middle of the arena fighting this clock, and then halfway through the fight of the clock you realize, no, you have to have Bob step on some switches, which, why are there no switches in this game that Bob has to step on? There absolutely aren't any at all. It's kind of ridiculous. But in a boss fight, yeah, step on switches, it raises like spikes on the ground, you use your bark to scare a giant clock into walking on the switches. The final solution you have is you are able to pick up a giant apple and use that. Or a giant apple falls from the sky and squashes the alarm clock for no reason. Yeah, my main problem here with Back to Bed is a very simplistic, very generic puzzle game that does nothing, ends really, really quickly unless you want to bang your head against the nightmare mode, and then it takes way too long, and it introduces things and doesn't satisfy in a lot of ways. And of course, I have to put the caveat here, this is the second time I've recorded this footage, so I was a lot nicer and a lot more forgiving the first time I played this game, but having to play it a second time, not that good. And that kind of sucks, because this is a mobile game. If you had bought this on your cell phone and you played it once and you wanted to get more money out of it, more time for your money out of it, you probably weren't having a great experience. Anyways, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.